Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth
on Now You Know.
You can help support our channel by heading over to ecoware.us, where you'll find new designs every week, and we carbon offset the production, shipping, and life cycle of every product.
And we plant a tree for every order, so it's carbon negative. Are you a student who's struggling with a particular online class right now?
If you're like me, sometimes I just needed to get a different take on a lesson or class. Sometimes I just didn't jibe with a certain professor or teacher.
I know what you mean. Like, I got most of it, but there were certain concepts that eluded me. And Brilliant is a platform that will keep me engaged long enough for those concepts to sink in.
For instance, are you taking a class in probability right now?
Well, some of you probably are.
Then Brilliant's got your back with their Fundamentals of Probability class.
Or maybe you're planning a trip to Vegas and want to dive into Brilliant's casino probability.
Yeah, because the best way to learn and understand principles is by applying them yourself. And that's exactly what Brilliant.org allows you to do.
For a lot less than you're probably going to lose to that casino. To support our channel and learn more about Brilliant.org, go to Brilliant.org/nowyouknow and sign up for free.
And also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.
And we're brought to you by abetterrouteplanner.com. Do you need to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, and you need to do that all in an electric car? Check out abetterrouteplanner.com. That's what they do. Use our link down in the show notes below to get a 30-day free trial to the premium app.
And we're sponsored by our friends at the solar-powered hotels in Schaumburg, Illinois, the Fairfield Inn & Suites by Marriott, and the Town Place Suite Hotel right next door. They're both connected, and they're both solar-powered.
Battery Day was mind-blowing.
So mind-blowing because it packed so much information, so much innovation into just one presentation.
And it's taken our brains quite a bit to unpack. But we wanted to share a key takeaway about the future of Tesla and the auto industry that might have been overlooked because our focus was, well, elsewhere.
Yeah, we want to discuss Tesla's unstoppable vertical integration.
So let's start with mining. Tesla needs raw materials to make their cars, just like all the other auto manufacturers.
But up until now, Tesla has not been producing at a scale that warrants doing anything but buying from existing suppliers.
One of the reasons big auto manufacturers are so hesitant to get into EVs in the first place is that they require new materials and minerals, especially at a huge scale from mining companies and suppliers that these manufacturers have no relationships with. So you can imagine if you're Joe Schmo down at the GM plant and you need more steel, you call up your steel supplier and you go, "Hey there, Jimmy, we need some more steel down at the plant."
"Oh yeah, Kevin, I got all the steel you need. How much you need?"
I think about 2 tons.
"That's great. We'll send it right over."
Right. So good talking to you, Jimmy. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you guys had any batteries down there.
Batteries? What size you need? I got, let me check in the drawer here. Yeah, I got AAA, I got a C battery. What do you need?
No, I mean, I'm so glad that you're great friends with me, Jimmy. It's so nice to see you at Thanksgiving. I'm just wondering if you have, like, batteries for the cars.
Oh, like car battery, like a 12-volt battery?
No, like for the electric cars. You have any of those?
What kind of car there, Kevin?
I was just asking to see, you're such good friends with us suppliers.
What are you talking about?
We need to be thinking about electric cars and
we got
stuff.
Steel here.
I know. I was just checking. All right. Well, I'll see you later, Jimmy. Bye.
All right, bye. Yeah, they've been getting steel from these guys over the years. They've been getting aluminum from these guys. But the problem with EVs is you need all these new materials like graphite, which up until now comes from China and Australia.
You need nickel from Canada, Australia, Brazil, the Philippines.
You need lithium from Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, Australia, and China.
Silicon, which is easy to source, but we'll get into that in a minute.
So up until now, Tesla just bit the bullet and they bought from third-party suppliers. But Battery Day revealed that this is all changing.
So let's talk about lithium. Elon and his teams went back to first principles and figured out a new way to mine lithium.
Yeah, a new way. They said, to their knowledge, no one else does it this way. It uses water and table salt, which is sodium chloride, and when you're done, you have lithium and then the piles of clay soil that you got the lithium from.
Tesla has agreements on 10,000 acres of land in Nevada that they say they can get all the lithium needed for all U.S. production just from there.
So we're really excited about this, and there really is enough lithium in Nevada alone to electrify the entire U.S. fleet.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, just what's in Nevada. That's That's basically so much damn lithium on Earth. It's crazy.
Yeah, so Tesla has just vertically integrated lithium into their business. And I think this is a huge takeaway from Battery Day that was so dense that we didn't have time to even absorb this.
And the important thing here with vertical integration, we're going to be talking about this a lot, is to vertically integrate as much as possible. And when you go all the way to lithium for your batteries, there's no step that precedes that.
Right.
Aside from maybe the machine that you need to mine the lithium with. But if Tesla is doing that, then you have a 100% vertically integrated stream from the lithium coming out of the clay into the batteries, into the cars. That's vertical integration. There's no guy that you need to call up. Oh, hey, Jimmy, do you? What's the scoop with the lithium? Are we still waiting on that? What's the pricing? No, Tesla is dealing with all of that.
So let's talk about nickel. Elon needs lots of nickel.
And, Elon needs a lot of nickels. These cars, they're kind of expensive. You need
sorry.
nickels
Did
if
you
you
say
want to.
nickels? No, we're not talking about nickels. We're talking about nickel, the mineral, not the 5 cents piece.
Oh, okay. Right. Nickel.
Although you're right, nickels are made of 25% nickel. So that's good.
Now, that's not the only thing that is made out of nickel.
That's right. Stainless steel, which Elon needs a lot of for his starships and Cybertrucks, that is 6 to 20% nickel. And by the way, 65% of all the nickel produced goes into making stainless steel.
But you need a massive amount of nickel for nickel-based lithium-ion batteries. 80% of the NCA battery cathode is nickel.
So what did Tesla do? They came up with a new way to mine, process, and utilize nickel in their batteries.
They went back to first principles and they asked, why are we doing it this way? How can we do it better? And what's stopping us?
And just because it was always done this way doesn't mean we have to continue doing it that way.
And that's what we've been working on with our high nickel cathode development, which has zero cobalt in it. Leveraging novel coatings and dopants, we can get a 15% reduction in cathode dollar per kilowatt hour.
So let's talk about silicon. Silicon used as an anode can hold 9 times more energy in the battery, but it has the problem of expanding 4 times during charging. And so it cracks and degrades every time you charge and discharge the battery.
But it's cheap and holds a lot of energy. So what did Tesla do? They went back to first principles and they figured out how to coat the silicon with an ion-conducting polymer coating and then hold the particles together with an elastic binder.
That's material science. Do you see how amazing this is? Most companies sub this out. They sub out their problems to other companies to solve, and then they're beholden to them for the solutions.
And Tesla doesn't do this. They are the ones that are doing the innovation. Therefore, they're the ones that reap the benefits. I mean, of course, Tesla is taking a risk. They could have not come up with any solutions. But if you keep pouring money into R&D, it generally pays off.
And speaking of paying off, remember when Tesla bought the German engineering firm Grohmann Engineering back in 2017?
Yeah.
Do you know why they did that?
No.
Because Elon understood that just like in a chess match, he would get to this problem. Probably a dozen moves into the game, he would get here, where if he didn't plan ahead, he would get stuck. So most startups focus on making a prototype and impressing investors, not realizing that the hardest problem will be down the road when they need to make that thing at scale.
And a car is one of the hardest things to make at scale.
So Elon started focusing on this problem long before it made sense to us why he would be focusing on it at all. Kind of like that move that chess masters make that the rest of us are like, why did he move his bishop to c4?
To illustrate this, when the Model 3 started production in 2017, the media just kept focusing on the production failures. Oh, that's too hard for robots. You need more people.
So what did Elon do? Did he give up on making the alien dreadnought, the machine that makes the machine?
No, he doubled down.
And it paid off. While everyone was busy pointing out how Tesla didn't know how to make cars like the big boys do, Tesla leapfrogged them all.
Elon, Drew, and the engineers at Grohmann were busy designing a Giga press that can cast the front and rear of the Model Y in 2 pieces.
It's important to point out that even though Ford has been making cars for over 100 years, they do not use gigapresses.
One reason is that to do this, Tesla had to develop a new aluminum alloy.
Yeah, and I want to stop here for a second and point out why this is so amazing. So when you go to press something, that the material flows into the mold properly. And you only have a short amount of time to do that, right? It's a molten aluminum. It has to flow evenly.
And then it has to cool. And the faster you can cool it, the faster you can make parts. So you want to be cooling as fast as possible, but if you cool too fast, the material goes into the mold and it doesn't fill it all the way. So the challenge of making a molding machine this big for molten aluminum is really, really challenging.
Yeah, and Elon talked about the fact that if you just use traditional aluminum alloys, you're going to get something that you then need to heat treat when it comes out to strengthen it. And if you heat treat it, that means, first of all, another step and more energy and more time and more money, but also it's going to shrink.
Exactly. And when things shrink, they don't usually shrink completely uniformly, which means that you run into lots more issues. So you might say, designing a new aluminum alloy, that sounds whatever. You just throw a bunch of aluminum and some other stuff in there, and then you boil it all up, and you're good. It's really, really, really hard to design a new alloy from scratch. There are entire companies, and their whole thing is they design metal alloys for particular applications. That's their whole business model. Tesla is doing this on top of everything else that they're doing.
So Tesla, again, has vertically integrated another technology, material science. They went back to first principles and asked, how can we simplify these steps? What's stopping us? Oh, the material needs to be re-engineered? Then let's do it. And now, as we can see here, Tesla, just 3 years later, has figured it out.
And I want to stress, Tesla didn't just buy some off-the-shelf presses from Idra. These are Italian-made Idra presses, but they have been re-engineered entirely and also custom-made from Idra.
Right, so it's not like Ford or GM can just call up Idra tomorrow and be like, we want the presses that Tesla has. Send us some of those.
So Battery Day was really impressive and really exciting, but I kept going back to, why did Elon tell us everything about Battery Day? Because they didn't have to. They weren't rolling out some new shiny machine that had these batteries in it at the moment. Why tell everyone what you're about to do before you do it? Why not just do it and amaze the world, and then everyone go like, oh my gosh, we didn't see this coming? Why?
Yeah, it was about recruiting more great people. Elon may have great ideas and leadership, but it's Tesla's amazing team of talented and smart people, the engineers, that allow for all this innovation. Now, I hate to compare Elon to Thomas Edison because Edison was so flawed, but there is a similarity here, which is Menlo Park. The amount of innovation that came out of those labs at Menlo Park was incredible because of the incredible engineers that Edison recruited. And that was what Battery Day was about.
It was a recruiting tool. This is another reason why Tesla is unstoppable. Not only are they getting more and more vertically integrated every day, which lowers their costs and speeds up their production, but let's focus on the next wave of engineers. If you are a super smart and talented engineer, where do you want to go work?
According to Zippia's American Community Survey last year, SpaceX and Tesla are the #1 and #2 most attractive employers for engineering students. Stop and think about that for a second. If you're a hotshot engineer, these are the two companies in the world that you want to go work for. So let's say that the executives at Ford or GM woke up the day after Battery Day and they said, oh my God, we have to completely reverse course. We have to follow Tesla's lead.
What would that look like? What would they have to do?
Well, #1, they would immediately have to stop producing all of their ICE cars and start developing only electric vehicles.
Well, okay, but why would they do that? They sell these cars to make money. Why would they cut off all the revenue streams?
Well, if we look at Ford, they're actually not making money selling cars anymore. They actually lose money by selling cars. So the second thing they would have to do is they would have to shutter almost all of their factories because they're really not making them any money and they need to switch gears. And so third, they would have to start hiring battery engineers, material engineers, process engineers, electric powertrain engineers.
So where would Ford get all these engineers? Who would want to work for Ford after they had closed down all their factories?
Yeah, because let's be honest, if you are the LeBron James of EV engineers, are you going to want to play for anything but the best team?
You're going to want to work for Tesla and be creating things that are going to change the world.
One of the most valuable resources a company has are its people. And increasingly, as we go forward, the best people are going to want to work for Elon Musk because he is proving every day that his companies are leading the way, whether it's rockets, cars, energy, brain sensors, you name it. So I want to talk about the hard way of running a company and the easy way.
What's the hard way?
The hard way is to vertically integrate.
And why is that so hard?
Well, because to vertically integrate, you have to solve a lot of problems. Instead of relying on suppliers to solve your problems, you have to figure out how to make almost everything you need for your products. So you don't buy seats from a seat maker, you make the seats. You don't buy batteries from someone, you make the batteries.
And that's super hard. That takes a lot of resources, time, and energy. But when you finally get it right, you have way cheaper costs to build your products because you aren't at the whim of your suppliers.
Yeah, and if you figured out how to do it more efficiently than your competitors, then you have a competitive advantage. You can make your cars faster cheaper, and more efficiently.
So then what's the easy way?
Drop shipping.
What's drop shipping again?
Drop shipping is where you throw up a website and you decide to sell your widget that you don't even make. You get an order and you send that order to the supplier that makes the widget and have them ship it to your customer. Sounds great, right?
I mean, yeah, you don't need a brick and mortar store or a warehouse or even a factory. You just get an order, mark up the widget, and have it sent to your customer.
Yeah, and this is kind of what many car companies have become. They sub out many of the parts to third-party suppliers to make. So let's take the Chevy Bolt. They get an order for a Bolt, and what do?
They make it, and then they ship it out the door, and they say, here is your Chevy Bolt.
No. LG Chem started working closely with GM back in 2011 on the Volt, making the batteries for it. And GM has relied heavily on LG Chem to then make the battery for the Bolt. And LG Electronics is making the Bolt powertrain. So now, not only is GM losing money on every Bolt they sell, but GM doesn't even know how to make their own car. And that kind of continues today. GM may have the Ultium battery, but it's in partnership with LG Chem, and they make them.
So then why does GM even bother to do this? And also, why doesn't LG just say, we're going to make our own Bolt? It's going to be called the LG Bolt.
So the first question, why does GM do this? They were competing with Tesla. If you remember, Bob Lutz actually was trying to compete with Elon, and he came up with the Bolt. Great idea. And so they tried to make an EV, but they didn't have the talent in-house to make it. So to make it quickly, they had to call up the people that knew how to make batteries, LG Chem. And why doesn't LG Chem just go on to be their own car company? Why bother? You have GM giving you money to make the cars. You don't have to go advertise them. You don't have to go do any of the other hard stuff. You just supply them with the parts. That's what they do.
Okay, but like, doesn't Tesla buy battery cells from Panasonic?
Yeah, so as a startup company, Tesla started by partnering with battery manufacturer Panasonic because they couldn't do everything themselves, but they were making the powertrains and the battery packs themselves.
So not the battery cells, but the battery packs.
Right. And now from Battery Day, we're learning that Tesla wants to actually make the cells themselves. In fact, better cells than anyone else can make.
And Tesla vertically integrates into every arm of their company. And this is where analysts just don't get it. They keep looking at the cars only.
I think we should look at something else Tesla does. The solar roof.
The solar roof. I mean, they don't make any of them.
Well, I think it's easy to look at the solar roof right now, kind of like the Model 3 production hell that happened in 2017, and see it as a failure. But the same thing is going to happen, mark my words, in a couple of years when Tesla has taken over a new market. Roofing.
Solar roofing?
No, I'm not even talking about the solar part of roofing. I'm just talking about roofing. People are going to wake up and realize that Tesla did it again. Tesla makes the roof material, and Tesla can tie that customer into their Powerwall, virtual power plant, their cars, all because they got into a completely new market.
I mean, is there even a market for the solar roof?
Well, it's kind of what people said about the Model 3, right? People who didn't understand it were like, is anyone even going to want this car? What are you guys even talking about? And I think in a few years, when you have the option of replacing your roof with something that makes you money and keeps you dry, you're going to compare that to something that just keeps you dry, and you're going to go, oh yeah, I think I'll take the one that makes me money.
And that number, just in the U.S., is 5 million roofs per year are being re-roofed.
That's not counting the new roofs on new buildings. That's another 5 million roofs. So yeah, we're talking 10 million possible customers every year. So Battery Day revealed how unstoppable Tesla has become.
Tesla is racing off into the distance, and its competitors have no idea how far behind they really are. If they did, we would start to see them doing what we talked about before, shutting down, restructuring their entire business. But they aren't. They're just sitting there thinking that they're catching their breath.
There is no catching up now. They had their chance a few years ago, and they missed it. Tesla is going to dominate batteries. Tesla's going to dominate vehicle production, autonomy, roofs, solar, power walls, power packs, mega packs.
I think that Battery Day was this window into Tesla, showing the amount of innovation and invention that's happening behind the scenes that we don't really get to hear about or talk about or think about. You know, it's happening, but we don't know that it's going on. And Battery Day was this little window into like, yeah, this is just batteries, guys. Imagine what we're doing with other stuff.
Yeah, that's a really important point, because we should also not forget that Tesla's doing this in all areas and that they're innovating in all these other areas, including batteries.
Right. And so Battery Day wasn't it, right? It wasn't the whole thing and here's all our cards on the table, like a lot of analysts seem to be thinking. They're like, well, if this is all Tesla is, I'm not interested. It's like, no. This is one small piece of a much larger puzzle.
So what does this all look like if we're trying to picture the landscape a few years down the road? What does it look like when the landscape actually changes?
Well, let's look to television. A decade ago, there were networks: ABC, NBC, CBS. They dominated in-home entertainment.
And would you have guessed that Netflix and Amazon would dominate this space against players that have been doing it for decades?
Oh, what? An online book-selling company is going to put us out of business? Ho, 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 ho. That's hilarious.
Or Netflix, a DVD rental service?
Who wants to get DVDs in the mail, I say? That's ridiculous.
And yeah, that rental service started in 1998, and now they have 183 million subscribers. Amazon's Prime has 150 million subscribers. 64 million households watch the Netflix original show Tiger King. The networks now, CBS, ABC, and NBC, really only have sports, morning news, and Friends reruns. And when disruption's happening, it's not very obvious to most people.
Blockbuster used to rule its industry, having 9,000 stores globally and $5.9 billion in revenue.
Neither Redbox nor Netflix are even on the radar screen in terms of competition.
That was Blockbuster CEO Jim Keyes in 2008.
In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. So you see, it happens really fast, and even the person you think, okay, the CEO of this company who should really know his industry well, didn't see it coming.
Steve Ballmer, CEO of Microsoft, said about the first iPhone,
$500? Fully subsidized with a plan? I said that's the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard, which makes it not a very good email machine.
Not a very good email machine, the iPhone. Who sends emails from their iPhone?
And, I mean, it may seem funny now, but Microsoft missed a huge opportunity to get into the phone business, all because their CEO didn't see how that would work. And that's kind of the point here. Tesla is running away with the ball, and their competitors don't even know that they have it.
Let's take advantage of this. Take advantage of the fact that right now, you probably know more about this industry than most of the so-called financial analysts.
And this is a really big point, because there are key points in history that we all look back on and we're like, gosh, I wish I was alive then. If I had a time machine, I could have made a lot of money.
If I could have gone back and bought Yahoo when it didn't cost anything, or Google, or Amazon, or Tesla. This is another point in history that you're going to be kicking yourself. Dang it, if I had only known, I would have bought it. Well, this might be one of the few times that you're actually going to hear it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of you out there are like, oh, I missed it. I could have bought it when it IPO'd. Yeah, you could have. We all look back at an Amazon stock chart and we say, oh, wouldn't it have been great to invest in it back then? But the upside to investing in it now is that you don't have to hold it for as long as you would have had to. So there's a lot more opportunity coming. And that's what we wanted to kind of stress to you here, is that you're in a great, great position. So I just want to do a little plug here for our Now You Know Investor Club, which we just started on Patreon at our $10 perk level.
Right. We don't just talk about Tesla on there. We have lots of really, really smart people. We're talking about all sorts of different companies and stocks and what to look for and how to do different kinds of trades. I mean, there's options trading. There's people talking about long-term investing, short-term investing.
Yeah, we're talking about mining companies, for instance. I mean, Elon basically just told the world, I need more materials. And there are companies right now, as we speak, that are ramping up to get him those materials. Companies that are pretty cheap, because no one really knows what they can do yet because they haven't really started producing. But those are the kind of companies we talk about in our investor club, companies that maybe no one has on their radar screen yet. So this is a huge opportunity for you if you're out there and maybe you've never invested before, or maybe you're a seasoned investor, but you're looking for places to invest. This is one of the reasons why we did this show. We want to make sure that you understand that you haven't missed the boat. There's a lot of disruptive innovation coming up here, and it's not over yet.
Right. No, I think that's a really good point. Everyone kind of looks back and they go, oh, if only I had done this. Oh, if only I had done that. And it just feels like you're on this dock with these boats that have already left. And you're like, how have they already left? And then you wait like a month and then you're like, that boat has already left. Well, it left at some point, and if you knew ahead of time that it was leaving, you could have been on it.
I remember when Tesla hit $400 a share before the split, and a lot of our viewers wrote to us and said, oh, I missed the boat.
And now it's worth 5 times as much. And
it's hard to see going forward that it won't be worth 5 times as much again. But I'm telling you, it will. And so that's why we want you guys to join us and see that there's a great, bright future ahead for those investors out there.
Thank you so much for watching this in depth. We'll see you next week. Now you know.